Hello and welcome to Friday. This is Friendliness Friday here on our little live stream antics that we do on weekdays. Welcome to the Afternoon Idol. My name is Andrew. I'm a certified mindfulness meditation coach in the Unified Mindfulness System. You can find out more about at unifiedmindfulness.com. I am many things, but I am not a licensed mental health professional, nor a therapist, nor am I an authorized Zen teacher, although I absolutely love Zen and all the stories and all that stuff. So you'll hear me occasionally kind of off the cuff include some things probably that, I don't know. I'm fascinated with them, but I'm not necessarily qualified. And but that's okay. So yeah, what we normally do on Fridays is we do a friendliness practice. Friendliness is one way to translate the Pali word metta, M-E-T-T-A. Pali is the language that the Buddha actually didn't speak, but it's the language that come on, join us. It's the language that the Buddha's teachings were captured in written form. So the first 250 years, all of the teachings at the time were done in an oral tradition, which is more reliable than I really imagined when I first heard that. A monk who is on 10% Happier, maybe about 3 years ago, Andrew Orlovsky or something starting with an O, who talks about that aspect. It's pretty interesting if you haven't heard that. It's in the deep cuts of the 10% Happier catalog. But metta could be translated as friendliness, which you'll hear Dan Harris say a lot because he likes that better than what it normally is translated with, which is loving kindness, all one word. And so we can think of it in general sort of speak, applying some unified mindfulness terminology to this, that what we're looking at are this falls under a technique for nurturing positive affect, or short in we just call it a nurture positive practice. What are we doing? We're offering up through the often silent repetition of phrases, although if you're in an environment where you could speak it out loud, that would be totally fine as well. But the silent repetition of well wishes that we extend out to others, or in some cases direct back to ourselves, as sort of a self-friendliness practice, if you want to use an awkward term. And over time, I have seen that this practice has sort of offered a sort of softening to what is normally a hard edge for me around the overall topic. If you think it's a total bummer and you don't want to offer these sort of phrases, you can always use it as a concentration practice, focusing on the repetition of the phrases as your meditation object. So that's totally fine. That's how I started out, because I really didn't want to do these practices, but I found myself at retreats with no escape where these practices were being offered or done. And I felt obliged to at least try to do them. So I have a set of phrases that I borrowed from a Jack Kornfield blog post that I like to use. And they are on the loving kindness end of things. So the phrases, I wrote it down because sometimes I forget the phrases. So what I'll do when I'm doing this by myself or I'm guiding myself is I'll read these phrases out loud as almost like loading them into my memory, and then I'll go ahead and start my sit. So the ones that we'll look at today are: may I sense my own worthiness and well-being. May I trust those around me. May I hold myself in compassion. So those are the three. I'm borrowing these from 5 that Jack Kornfield has, and if you search for these, you'll be able to find his post on it. And the 5 phrases are this: may I love myself just as I am. May I sense my own worthiness and well-being. May I trust this world. May I hold myself in compassion, and may I meet the suffering and ignorance of others with compassion. That's a mouthful. So what I do as a mnemonic sometimes is I'll use I'll use maybe one word out of it as a way to try to stoke these sort of warm, friendly, positive feelings. So in that case, love, sense, trust, hold, meet are all in essence how I sort of think of that. Again, that's just a little shortcut I do. I don't know that it'll work for everybody, but I often will just use, after I've loaded the phrases, I'll use one word to kind of help with gaining momentum. A big hello to Sarah and Angie, and thank you for joining us today, Jill. So I just gave you a bunch of phrases, which means I just confused you with the real phrases. But what we're going to use today is just 3. And you know, in the spirit of choose your own adventure, you'll get to decide who you want to direct them to. But may I sense my own worthiness and well-being. The Jack Kornfield one is may I trust this world, which I've found to be a very difficult phrase, at least when offering it to myself. So I modify that to may I trust those around me, which may be the world. And then the other aspect for me in a time, especially when we're sort of in this kind of improvement vibe as things are, may I hold myself in compassion, something that I look at. And then we can switch these over to another individual by saying, may you sense your own worthiness and well-being. May you trust those around you. And may you hold yourself in compassion. So I'll offer both variations and you can choose. Sound good? All right. Put 15 minutes on the clock. And then just as a reminder, if this is the first time you've been here, welcome. We do a contrast sit. And so the something part of today that we're going to contrast with doing nothing is our friendliness practice. And then about 8 minutes in or so, we will shift over. We'll shift over to the do nothing practice. And I'll give you some light guidance around that. All right. So if you have any questions, one last chance to post those or requests for clarification. All right, let's do this. So I invite you to adopt a posture that helps you be both relaxed and alert. For today, if you want to favor the comfort side of the posture spectrum, go ahead and do that. So if you want to lay down, totally an option for this. Comfort is an ideal quality for when we're doing a friendliness practice like this. And then as you get situated, just check to see if there's any tension. We hold tension in different places in the body, so you'll know where your tense spots are. But if you haven't gotten used to those yet, you may find that there's tension around the shoulders, near the neck, maybe the neck or near the jaw, around the eyes, maybe the forehead. And just checking in to see if there's any tension or maybe light holding. And as we notice them, sometimes the tension areas will melt away. And if they don't, it's our first opportunity to bring no big deal quality to our sit. And then doing a few deliberate conscious breaths, accentuating the exhale, using that downward motion to settle into the posture. And then to begin, you can select someone that's close to you that may need assistance or would be buoyed by the support. And maybe that's you. And you can start with yourself if that's okay. Either way, select who you'd like to be the recipient of your well wishes, your metta gifts. I'll begin with assuming you've picked someone else, but feel free to change the pronoun to I. May you sense your own worthiness and well being. May you trust those around you. May you hold yourself in compassion. Again, you can repeat the phrases silently to yourself or out loud if your circumstance allows it. I tend to use a slow, somewhat drawn out version of the phrases, but you can always speed that up. It's totally up to you. So I'll offer a few rounds so that the phrases we're using may land. You're always welcome to customize or use your own. May you sense your own worthiness and well-being. May you trust those around you. May you hold yourself with compassion. May you sense your own worthiness and well-being. May you trust those around you. May you hold yourself with compassion. May you sense your own worthiness and well-being. May you trust those around you. May you hold yourself with compassion. And then before I let you explore those phrases on your own, you want to use the short one-word version. Sense, trust, hold. Sense, trust, hold. So explore the view when we can rotate to another individual. So now see about bringing another individual to mind. Perhaps someone that you don't know very well, that is a neutral individual. Maybe it's someone that you see when you are checking out for your groceries, or maybe it's someone who helps you get your grocery pickup order, or it's the person at your favorite Chinese restaurant who helps you get your takeout order. Whoever, whoever you might have come to mind. And see about bringing a little bit of a vividness to their presence. And then we'll offer the phrases to them. May you sense your own worthiness and well-being. May you trust those around you. May you hold yourself with compassion. May you sense your own worthiness and well-being. May you trust those around you. May you hold yourself with compassion. You're free to tweak the phrases or to offer the short form. Sense, trust, hold. Sense, trust, hold. And a reminder, this can be done as a dry focus practice or as a warm, enriched practice. Either's good. Explore these phrases with your selected individual. Good. So let's offer two paths for you. If you want and you feel the need, continue the loving kindness practice, but use the phrases directed to yourself. May I sense my own worthiness and well-being. May I trust those around me. May I hold myself in compassion. Or let go of all the techniques and shift into do nothing, allowing whatever happens to happen and dropping any intention to do anything. Your choice. Continue. In a moment, I'll ring the bell, bringing a close to our practice. And if your eyes have been closed, I invite you to open them and reconnect to your surroundings. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for spending 24-ish minutes with me. Thank you for making it to the chair or to the cushion. It's where it all starts. And thank you for another week. We've reached the end of a week, somewhat short week for folks in the U.S. Well, because if you had the holiday off on Monday, I guess. Feels like 2.5 weeks in 1 week, though, maybe for some. Oh yeah, you're very welcome, Angie and Sarah and Jill and Jeff. Hopefully you picked up what we were doing along the way. So yeah, it's really close to the bottom of the hour, so I know that some folks need to head out at 30 minutes past. So have a great weekend. See you next week. If possible, I guess, but would love to see folks next week or have you join and sit with us. If you have any questions or comments or reports, always game for those. Yeah. And loving kindness is an interesting, I've been playing around with a bit of a guided imagery version of a loving kindness sit. That's a variation of kind of gift giving and gift receiving. And this notion, a bit of what has come up in the 10% Happier Challenge with Taweri Salah's guided imagery around kind of having your own inner counsel that you can bring to mind and then imagine that scenario of people supporting you. That's in essence, I've been kind of trying to get something that will resonate for a close friend. So it's recorded. We'll see. But yeah. So yeah, I don't have anything else. Trying to think. We'll see, Angie. I hope it's neat. It's been a little bit of playing around with guided imagery, which I don't personally do a lot of, but I know there are some folks that really resonates with, and so and there's this notion in the sort of the there's this notion of like something called continuing bonds that for folks that are in the grieving process, and it's an interesting kind of toe that line carefully, but notion of at least offering up that if people feel resourced, they could use their own guided imagery to a certain extent as kind of a continuing bonds practice, which I don't know a whole lot about, but I know just a little bit. So, which I guess may be dangerous. I was always worried I'd be like the like Obi-Wan Kenobi of the software world, where I would train a bunch of people and they'd turn into little Darth Vaders. So when I was teaching at the university, that was always a bit of a weight on my shoulder, where I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be teaching people how to do this. And so sometimes I get that feeling, that imposter feeling, when I'm doing meditation coaching. So, all right. Have a great weekend.